So I've just come on to record my daily sacred soul message, your daily sacred soul message for today, which is really yesterday's but recorded. I'll get back into the rhythm again tomorrow. We have rain today. You can tell by the rain on my window. It was a pretty scary day on my Thursday. I had looked out my front window and I had seen this front coming, and I thought, well, if I'm going to get yogurt on my muesli, then I better get out there and get it now because that's not far away. I keep the yogurt in the fridge in the shed because there's a bigger fridge in there. The fridge in here is really tiny. So I went out to the shed, spooned my yogurt out on top of my muesli, stepped outside the shed, shut the door, and it hit. Bang! And I thought, I'll just wait here until it passes, because usually, just a big gust and it passes. But it was sustained, and I was out there for about 10 minutes. Ended up with debris in my yogurt, but that's nothing. I just picked the best bits out and increases your immune system, right? Had my pup at my feet, and the orphan lamb was close by too, just sheltering close to me because they were a little bit scared. Riley, my older dog, he's 6, is under the caravan. When it eased off a little bit and things stopped flying past me, I walked back and got into the caravan. It's about I don't know, what is it? It's a 6, 7, 8 meter walk. It's not very far, but it was still blowing and it was raining, and I didn't put a jacket on because it was a warm day and it wasn't raining, and I went out and I thought I'd be in and out before that happened. And while I was standing there with my back to the shed, I watched the chalet that Sue and I had attempted to build a few years ago before she got sick explode like it had been hit by a tornado. Came back in and I sat here and I was watching things. I'd watched the outside toilet, which we called John, just lifting up in one corner, and I was thinking, oh, that's going to go. And sure enough, I went out later and it was off. It pulled the pile right out of the ground. A sheet of iron, which has been fine. They've all been fine where they are. I keep everything anchored down, but this wind was extreme. Things that had not moved in 6.5 years were picked up, and I've got an old boat that I dropped in a paddock to use the trailer to move chicken houses around, and that is so heavy, and the wind had turned it upside down. It's just been, and I went down to check on the horses when it was all over. The little playhouse in the far corner, which was supposed to be used for chickens, but they never moved in there, so I've used it for hay. It's just blown to smithereens all over the lower paddock. The sheep were clever. They went right down. You can see the pines behind me. They went right down in the far corner down there and hid under the pines, where it hardly ever rains and there's no wind there, because whichever direction the wind comes from, that's a tiny little sheltered spot. So I'm hoping the horses were wise and went right down in the little sheltered spot that's the same on the other side of the property, but they're okay. I see them twice a day at least, and they're fine. The wind, actually, I tie my electric fences so that, because they're tape, I tie them so if the horses get caught in them, the ties will come undone. But in normal circumstances they won't. They're like a double knot and then a single on top, and those have been blown to bits. I've had to go out and fix all that up. It's just, in 62 years I've never been in wind that bad, and I was caught in Cyclone Wilmish. The eye went right over us when we were staying up in the Great Barrier Island, in the Auckland region. Oh, how many years ago? 15 years ago, I think. Cyclone Wilma went right over us, and you know, our anchor held for one direction, but when we didn't realise we'd be right in the eye crossed us. We had that about half an hour to an hour of stillness, and then we got hit by the other side, and of course then we were facing that we were in the wrong place because we were being pushed towards the rocks. And that was terrifying, being on a yacht in that sort of weather, but those winds were not as strong as these. So this has been, I lived through it, I've survived it. The second time I've survived something like that. They're saying that the winds were about 150, 160 kilometres an hour. That's just under 100 miles an hour. They don't call it a cyclone, which is what they call the tropical winds. They just call it a storm, which is, yeah, it's just as bad as a hurricane or a cyclone. So yeah, living alone out here. Friday I had to go in and into town and get a tooth fixed. You know, that's a day trip. And dropped in on a neighbour to make sure they were right, because you know I'm off grid, so I still had power because I had no internet. I knew they had no power, and they were running a Jenny so that they could keep their, you know, they had a beast in the freezer. And I had a freezer here I can turn on if they needed me to, but they were coping. They were all coping up there. So popped in to check on them and came home, and it's just 5 days without internet. You know, it's been a little over 3 years on my own. And that first 2 years, internet would go down. And I would get so anxious within about half an hour of not having internet because I had no contact with the outside world. But this time I was okay. I just went and found some Audible books I'd already downloaded, and I listened. And I checked my data, because I've got rollover data on my mobile. And I checked that, and I was able to download 3 shows a night so that I could watch something in the evening, so that my evenings don't feel too long. I have 3 4G if I'm lucky, 1 bar in this window. It's the only place I get phone reception here. And it wasn't enough for me to upload a video, which is why when I went into town I used the 5G in town to upload it. It was up within a couple of minutes. I just had to come home, and because I realised, because the Wi-Fi wasn't working, for my iPad to share with my phone, it has to go up to the cloud and back again, and I couldn't connect to the cloud. So I didn't have my caption on my phone. So I uploaded the video and came home and did the caption that evening. So you got 1 video through that time on Friday, my Friday night. Saturday's message was all about the empty room, which was about silence. And I thought, well, that's actually quite perfect, because you are experiencing silence from me. And I'm so sorry I've been unable to get the messages to you for 5 days. But I'm back on deck now, and I'm just about to record tonight's one. So it'll be your Monday morning's one. It's our Labour weekend here, Labour Day today, and I think it's yours in the US as well. So, yeah, thank you for bearing with me, for not giving up, for going through and watching some of the older ones. And, yeah, I'm back today. And I've missed you. So I'll see you again overnight and in my morning tomorrow as we get back into the rhythm. Much love to you, and thank you for bearing with me and watching this. And I know most people won't watch this to the end because I'm just doing a share, and yes, my eyes are. Because the being on my own thing really got to me for a long time. Because when Sue died, I had never been on my own. Never. I'd been without a partner, but I had a child. So I'd had an identity always that was tied to somebody else, and I have had to find out who I am when I'm not somebody's something. So, I mean, yeah, I'm still a mother, but they don't need me every day anymore, you know? They just need me when something goes wrong. Grown-up kids. So, yeah, thank you. See you later.